Welcome back, everybody. My name is Trini and I am the Batquad. This is the channel where I go through my personal DVD collection from A through Z. Now, if you've been keeping up with this channel, I've been reviewing all the Batman movies from 1966 all the way up to 2022. And that's 12 Batman movies all in total. Now, throughout the years, because people know that I'm a Batman fan, they're always asking me, what's your favorite Batman movie? Who's your favorite Batman? And in this video, I'm going to definitively put it on the internet which ones are my favorites. So sit back, relax, and let's get through this video. Next on my Batman list are Batman costumes. Now, going through all these movies, he has several costume changes in some of these movies. I have 15 written down. So let's just start at the bottom. My least favorite Batman costume is George Clooney's ice repellent, I guess, bat costume from Batman and Robin. I think this costume is awful. I know it's a repurposed, a Sonar Batman costume from Batman Forever, and they just kind of put I don't know, they colored it white to make it look like an action figure, and this is the kind of action figure that would fight Mr. Freeze because maybe it has some sort of ice repellent abilities or something, I don't know, but it just looks like a joke. It looks like an action figure, and that's part of why I hate it so much, and that's why it's at the bottom. Speaking of the Sonar suit, coming in at number 15 is Val Kilmer's Sonar suit from Batman Forever. This came on at the end of the movie, and I don't like the color. At some point when he turns on the sonar thing and like a glass covers his eyes and it has I don't know, some sort of digital tracking or something on it, it just looks goofy. I think the head is too big for it. The chest is unbelievably large for the costume. I don't like the color. It's like silver. I don't know, a lot of things I don't like about this costume, and that's why it's at number 15. Coming in at number 13 is the Batman costume from the Lego Batman movie. There's nothing really wrong with it, but I mean, when you're talking about an animated movie like the Lego movie, and you have the opportunity to do a Batmobile that can change into different things, and you have Lego characters that are constantly using their Lego capabilities to make different things, he's in the same costume throughout the whole movie, and it's about as boring as you can get. It's just a plain black suit and his eyes are glowing white the whole time. And I just don't like it. I'm okay with the white eyes, but the light blue glow that they have going through the whole movie is a little distracting. Honestly, you're in a movie like that, do some costume changes. You have that ability to do it. It's a silly comic book movie, Lego movie anyways. Change it up a little bit, but they didn't, and it's kind of just basic black with the white glowing eyes. It's kind of boring, and that's why it's at number 13. Coming in at number 12 is the costume from Batman Begins. And this costume, I love that the movie builds up to this costume. I like the in-world universe of how it was built and what things they're putting into it to make it a functional Batman costume. And it works as a prototype Batman costume. But ultimately, when you see it in the light, the cape is amazing. But what I don't like about it, I don't like the cowl. The mask just looks too big for him or something. I don't know. And he has this little tiny mouthpiece. I don't like the texture of the costume. It looks very rubbery, like a dull rubber. There's something about it I just don't like. I've never been a fan of the belt of either of the costumes because it looks like there's no purpose to it. It's just kind of there. And that's all I really have to say about it. There's just nothing really stands out about it for me. It has the bat symbol on the chest, but it's all the same color. So nothing really stands out about the outfit except for the gold belt. Really, the best thing about this costume is the cape. And that's why it's at number 12. Coming in at number 11 is the Batfleck costume, but the Duster costume from the Nightmare sequence of BBS. I like this costume, but it's not Batman, if that makes any sense. It's basically Batman's costume, but with a trench coat. He has a little bit of a scarf around his neck, and he has some goggles, and he's carrying guns. It's just not Batman. I do kind of like the look of it. It's a little bit reminiscent of what the Damian Wayne character in the future as Batman kind of looks like a little bit. It's not my favorite costume. I don't like seeing Batman running around with pistols and machine guns and a trench coat. That's not really my kind of Batman. But I do like the base suit that's under it, but that's why I have it at number 11. Coming in at number 10 is the costume from Batman 66. I love me some Adam West Batman costume. I know it's silly and it looks awkward on him because there's no muscle padding or any kind of modern anything. It's just a guy in tights. But if you look at the comic books at the time, this was comic book accurate. You couldn't get more comic book accurate than that. My biggest complaint about this costume is I've never been a fan of the ears. I wish they had, I don't know, had a little bit better technology to do a better ear. But outside of that, the colors, the way it looks, everything about it's so amazing. A lot of it's nostalgia talking, but I love that Batman costume, and that's why it's at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Michael Keaton's Batman costume from Batman 89. You have to understand that from 66 to 89, there had been no live action Batman costumes, and they were trying to make this serious. So of course, when you try to make something serious, that means it has to be darker. And if something's darker, you can't have blue and gray. You have to go with black. So they made a choice when they designed that. When Bob Ringwood designed this costume, it was a black suit, and I liked it at the time. So when I first saw the movie, I liked the costume. I thought it looked pretty cool in later viewings, and then when you compare it to other movies, it is a very stiff costume. And the whole thing, a lot of jokes have been made about how Keaton wasn't able to turn his head, that he had to turn his whole body to look around. When you know that and you're watching the movie now, it does look a little silly. But Keaton does his best, man. He was a trooper in that costume and really pioneering the more modern costumes that come after it. But it looks cool. My biggest problem with that costume is, again, the cowl. It makes his face look really fat. It looks kind of round. And I don't like the bat insignia. For some reason, they decided to give the bat little feet for some reason, and it just looks awkward because when you look at the billboards at the time, it was the original Batman symbol, but for some reason on this costume they added little feet to the bat, and it looks a little silly. Otherwise, it looks great on film, but there are better costumes. That's why I have Batman 89 as number 9. Coming in at number 8 is Val Kilmer's Batman suit from Batman Forever. Before he puts on the sonar suit, this is what's called the Panther suit. This is the suit that actually introduces the bat nipples. Now I know Batman and Robin gets a lot of shade for having the bat nipples, but this is the movie that started it first. And Val Kilmer's first outfit is very reminiscent of Batman 89, but it's much sleeker and it looks better. You can tell that there had been at least 5 or 6 years in between movies as far as costume designing and everything else. That just kind of updated the look because he still had the fake muscles, the fake outline of having a muscular body and abs and chest. You've got the nipples going. I liked the dark black. It was like inky black. I thought it moved well when he was fighting. I like this costume a lot. It has a lot of its fans out there, but I do think there are better costumes. My next favorite costume is George Clooney's version 1 costume in Batman and Robin. I know everybody talks about the nipples, but like I said, there was nipples in the other movie too. But in this movie, I just loved the way the suit looked on George Clooney. I thought he had a pretty good chin. The head was much slimmer. The ears were longer, which I prefer. It had a singular color. If this suit had anything wrong with it, it's that it should have had at least the black and yellow design on the symbol, because I don't like that it was all one color. I think I know what they were going for, but what they should have done is just done away with the symbol altogether and just had a black bat there instead, like they did for the sonar suit. That's probably the biggest flaw of it, but I liked it. And that's why I prefer George Clooney's costume over Val Kilmer's. Coming in at number 6 is Christian Bale's Batman costume from Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. I think this costume is a big improvement over the Batman Begins. I do like the silhouette of it. I do like the mask, how it's detached from the neck so he can actually turn his head. I do like the cape. It's the same cape. Again, I still don't like the belt. The bat symbol that he has there, it just kind of blends into the background, which again, I don't like. I prefer my symbols to stand out. The biggest thing about this suit that I don't like is how it was designed to be in pieces, because when you see the costume in harsh lighting, you can really see how it's all segmented. And I understand movie-wise why they did that. There's an explanation for it. But when you see it in the harsh light, it looks too busy. So that's the biggest knock I have against it. But otherwise, in a silhouette, with the cape, with the different mask, although he still has that little mouth opening, which looks kind of weird, but it is what it is. Anyways, I like the silhouette of it. I like it better than the original Batman Begins costume, and that's why it's number 6 on this list. Coming in at number 5 is the costume worn by Robert Pattinson in The Batman. I saw the still photos of this costume. I was very nervous about it, but seeing it on screen, I think it looks amazing. I love the ears. They're nice and long and pointy. It was different with the stitching but around the mask, but I think it looked good. It fit him well. I wasn't sure I was going to like the high collar, but as it turns out, I did like it. The cape looks great. I think it's a good length for him. I like the suit, that it looks like it's kind of homemade through a war surplus store where he just kind of put different things together, painted it gray, made the bat symbol, at least it's a different color from the chest, and it's actually a functioning knife that he can use. I like that he has the belt with pouches, and it looks like things that he's actually carrying around instead of just a belt, I guess, to break up the color scheme. This one actually looks like it has functionality to it. I just really like this costume, and I'm really excited to see what the costume looks like in the following sequels. Coming in at number 4 is the armored bat costume from Batman vs. Superman. I love this costume. Bruce is still wearing the Batman costume under it, but he's put on armor plating on top of it. And that armor plating looks amazing. They're taking the design from The Dark Knight Returns, which is a comic book from the 80s, and they just brought it to life. And it looked like it, again, just stepped right out of the comic books. It's so goofy that you wouldn't think it would work, but it totally does. Even though I was complaining about the eyes, the glowing blue eyes from the Lego Batman, when they put it with this costume, it just looked like it belonged. It looked like it was part of it. And then later on, when he starts getting damaged and the lights go out and you actually see his eyes, I mean, that's just part of the storytelling. The armored suit was amazing. I loved all the little gadgets he pulled out of it. It looked like something that could fight Superman. And seeing that in live action, which I thought I would never see, I just love that costume, and that's why it's at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is the Bat costume from Mask of the Phantasm. It's so classic. It looks like comic book made into animation. And if you watch the animated series or watch this movie, the way it plays with the colors, the cape changes from black to blue. It's such a perfect design. It's simplistic. It looks great when it's in the shadows, and all the things you can't really do or maybe hasn't been attempted in live action. It just looks amazing in animation. It's so fluid. I love the bat suit, the whole simplicity of it, and the way it looks like comic book come to animation, come to life. I just love the design. It's so classic. It's so good. And that's why it's at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is the costume from Batman Returns. I think that this costume is such an upgrade from Batman 89. I like that they didn't try to fool you and make you think that Michael Keaton had, a six-pack, has abs and chest. I like that they went with more of an Art Deco armor look to it. So it just kind of hints at an abs and hints at a chest. But really now you know that it's actually armor. The hood or his mask looks a lot better. It's a lot slimmer. It doesn't have that round look to it. Ears look a lot better. They stick up better. They look better. Just everything about that costume just looks like an upgrade. And I really like that costume a lot. I think that had they done another Batman movie, I would have been very happy with Michael Keaton wearing the same costume in another movie. Maybe change it up a little bit. Now, one thing they did do is in the Flash movie that came out a couple years ago, which is awful, Michael Keaton reprised his role as Batman. And in that movie, he wears a very similar costume to the Batman Returns costume, but updated. But then again, they did a thing where they took out the color from it. They made the belt look gray. There's nothing contrasting with the suit, and it doesn't look as good, which is weird because it's like 30 years later. The Batman Returns Bat costume was much better than the one in the Flash, and much better than most of the costumes here on this list, and that's why it's at number 2. So leaving me with my favorite, best Batman costume is the Batfleck costume from Batman vs. Superman. This, by far, without a doubt, is the best Batman costume put on film. The colors, the look of it, the look of Ben Affleck. He's a big, beefy dude, and then he has the muscles on it, and it just makes him look menacing. My biggest complaint about this costume is I wish the ears were just a little bit bigger. They're a little too small for me. Other than that, it's a perfect costume. I love the colors. I love the big bat across the chest. Finally, they have a gray bodysuit with black boots, black gloves, black mask, black cape, black bat across his chest. I think that's amazing. Only thing I would have changed, other than the ears, so I guess that's 2 things. The 2 things I would change, 1 are the ears, and 2, I would have given him trunks. I think it's kind of weird because it looks like a naked man, but when you put trunks on him, at least it kind of covers that up a little bit. And I think it would have broken up the costume a little bit better. But for whatever reason, at the time, comic books and whatever, it wasn't cool to have trunks. When they redesigned the characters for the comic books, they took away Batman's trunks. So when this movie came out, they didn't have trunks on him. And if you look around and see on the internet, people have redesigned the costume and actually added trunks, and it does look pretty good. I'm missing the trunks. I'm missing a little bit longer ears, but otherwise, perfect Batman costume. Is definitely my favorite Batman costume of all these Batman movies. All right, we're getting down to the wire here. So who are my favorite Batmen? I think I'm losing the plot here. I should have combined Batman and Bruce Wayne. Hi, Editing Trini here. So you have to forgive me. I'm starting to lose the plot here because this was a 4-hour recording session that I didn't mean for it to be 4 hours. And initially I had split up my favorite Batman, my favorite Bruce Wayne. And then as I was recording, I realized that I was saying the same thing over and over again. So in this final edit, I kind of combined both of them. I apologize ahead of time if it seems a little jumpy or maybe I'm not making a little sense in this part, but I wanted to answer the question of who are my favorite Batman actors. I think through talking about both Batman and Bruce Wayne, I kind of figured it out. Sorry about the confusion. If this edit's kind of funky, that's why. And on with the video. There are 9 of them, so let's get going. Starting at number 9 was George Clooney. I love George Clooney as an actor, but when he got cast in this movie, I was a little bit nervous. I saw him in From Dusk Till Dawn. I thought he did great. I thought he had a darkness to him I already knew that he was charming because of his character in ER. Unfortunately, the movie's crap, the writing's crap, and just his characterization in this movie it's not good. He's not my favorite Bruce Wayne. I don't like the infighting that he has with Dick Grayson all the time. He just, of course, lets in Barbara Gordon or Batgirl into the mix. It's not a good movie. It's not a good Bruce Wayne. I'm sorry, buddy. I think you look great in that costume, but your Batman is just terrible. That's why he's at the bottom. Number 8 is Will Arnett from the Lego Batman movie. I think he's hilarious. I love Will Arnett as an actor. I think the voice acting is amazing. I just don't really care for his Bruce Wayne. I get what they were going for, and I know it's a comedy and it's a kid's movie and everything else. I just don't think that he was portrayed very intelligent, and I guess that was part of the character, but I like my Bruce Wayne's intelligent, and this guy's not very smart, you can tell. I think he's hilarious, but he's just not my Batman. He's funny, he's arrogant, and he's fun to watch, and I get that, but he's just not my Batman. When I think of Batman, I don't think of Lego Batman. But if I want to have a good time and I want to laugh about Batman, then that's the movie to watch. That's why he's number 8. Coming in at number 7 is Val Kilmer. I like him. I think he has a good relationship with Chase Meridian. I think that he shows a lot of empathy when Dick Grayson's parents die and he takes him in. I think he's a good Bruce Wayne. I just think that his Batman it's not as exciting to watch. I think the costume looks better, but overall, I just think that he's just not a good Batman. That's why he's at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is Robert Pattinson from The Batman. I love this movie. I think The Batman's a really good movie. I think he does a great Batman. I was nervous when I heard Robert Pattinson was cast as Bruce Wayne. I remember reading articles where he was refusing to work out because he was like, I don't need to work out for this role, which is crazy coming off of Ben Affleck, who all he did was work out for the role. So I was very nervous about how he was going to approach this character of Bruce Wayne. And really, all he is Batman throughout the whole movie, which is great. If you're going to go see a Batman movie, this is probably the first movie where Batman's in it most of the time instead of Bruce Wayne. But when he's Bruce Wayne, he's no different. He doesn't act any different than he does as Batman. And I think that's part of the character arc in these movies. I'm assuming that come part 2 or part 3 or whatever, he's going to break out of his shell and come out as more of your traditional or classic Bruce Wayne persona. He did a really good job as Batman. He's Batman through most of the movie. I like the outfit. I like the voice he puts on. I like some of the gadgets that he uses, especially the recording contact lenses. I do love the voiceover work that he does when it's very reminiscent of comic books. I like the overall story arc that he goes through, where in the beginning he's like, oh, I'm vengeance. And by the end, he's actually helping people. So he has a growth throughout the movie. And the biggest thing about this movie is there's a heavy emphasis on Batman's actual detective work. And I think that elevates this movie quite a bit, and it elevates this Batman. For this movie, I'm not a big fan of his Bruce Wayne. I hope it's going somewhere. And if it does, and he actually does better, he would definitely go up my list because his Batman's pretty spot on. But as of right now, Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, it's kind of low on my list. And that's why I have him at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is Michael Keaton from '89's Batman and Batman Returns. I know, everybody loves Michael Keaton. He's the classic Batman for everybody. My wife really loves him. That's her favorite Batman. This was a pioneering look for Batman coming out of the '66 movies, the first live-action Batman in a long time. It changed the suit. It looked cool in the black and the yellow and the new Batmobile and the Batwing, and then Batman Returns when he came back with a slightly redesigned outfit. I liked the classic storylines that he was in, with him fighting the Joker and then fighting the Penguin and having a relationship with Catwoman. It was all very classic Batman stuff. I really liked that part of the Michael Keaton Batman, but honestly, for me, Michael Keaton just did not look the part of Bruce Wayne. And in Batman '89, I think he's too aloof. I think he falls in love too quickly with Vicky Vale. He does much better in Batman Returns. I do like him better in that movie, but really he has very few interactions with anybody. He's fighting with Max Schreck. He's trying to have a relationship with Selena Kyle. I don't know. I just think Michael Keaton, he didn't look the part. He definitely has the crazy look in his eyes, which is what Tim Burton described as somebody who would actually dress up like a bat and go out. But he just doesn't have the physique. Speaking like you now. He just doesn't have the physique. He just doesn't have the physique for it. And he just seems a little short and out of shape, I guess. And it just doesn't seem very intimidating as a Batman character when you're comparing him to comic books or animation. And I did like the voice that he put on for Batman. It was a little lower, it was a little gruffer. It makes Christian Bale's Batman look silly in comparison. He looks good on film, but ultimately, I don't believe in this Batman. No matter what kind of armor you put him in, I just don't believe that this guy could be Batman. And for Bruce Wayne, I need to believe that Bruce Wayne can be Batman and Batman can be Bruce Wayne. And I've never felt that connection for him. And that's why he's at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Christian Bale's Batman. I love me some Christian Bale. I think he's a great actor. And when he was cast as Batman, I was ecstatic. Because I had seen him in American Psycho, I knew that he could pull off a dual role. I was very happy with him in Batman Begins. I thought his journey to become Batman I thought was great. My biggest issue with him are, number 1, the boneheaded things that he does out of love for Rachel. I don't like how he's completely fallen for her. He can't get over her, and she's clearly moved on. I don't like that as a Bruce Wayne character. And then when she dies, he makes the decision to not become Batman anymore, when really he became Batman because of his parents. His promise to keep the citizens safe, to save lives, whatever, his mission, he forgoes his mission because of Rachel Dawes. I think that's a total flaw of a Bruce Wayne character, and it really does him a disservice. And it really does him a disservice to be so lovesick that he just can't be Batman anymore. That's not Batman. That's not Bruce Wayne. And really, every decision he makes in Dark Knight Rises is just dumb. He gets made a fool of through that whole movie. I mean, he gets beat up by Bane. He gets humiliated by Catwoman. He allows Talia al Ghul to infiltrate his Wayne Foundation and then stab him in the back, literally and figuratively. There are just so many things that he does in that movie that it makes me dislike the character more. But there was so much goodwill in Batman Begins and most of The Dark Knight. It's just upsetting to me because it started off so good in his Batman, even though I'm not a super fan of the costume, but I liked where it was going. But by the time he got to part 2 and part 3, I really hate the voice that he puts on as Batman. I liked Batman less and less. I almost preferred to see Bruce Wayne over Batman, which is odd when you're watching a Batman movie. I did like the Batpod when he rides the Batpod. I do like the Bat vehicle, the Batwing, Batplane, whatever you want to call it. I like when he's flying in that. I like his fight with Bane in the sewers. So I like this Batman. It's just not my favorite, and really, as the movies went along, I just kind of soured with it, but I really liked the Batman from Batman Begins. That's why Christian Bale is at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Adam West. I love me some Adam West in the original Batman TV series. He played it straight. He played it like the original Cape Crusader was meant to be in the comic books. He's like this big father figure to Robin, and he's like the perfect citizen. I know that it may seem goofy now, but he was just so earnest in what he was doing. Like I said before, most of this is nostalgia. I love the costume. I love the way he acts as Batman, the way he's like the number 1 citizen in Gotham City, and he's such a brawler. He's down to get into fights anytime and wanted to catch the bad guys so that people of Gotham City could live a life with crime-free and not have to worry about these these silly criminals. There's just something so endearing about that Bruce Wayne and Batman. And the fights, even though they're silly and choreographed, at least you could see him, whereas most of these Batman movies, the fight scenes are awful. He looks cool in the outfit, looks cool flying around in his helicopter, or on his motorcycle, or in the Batmobile, or just hanging out in the cool Batcave. Part of the charm of it is that his Bruce Wayne and Batman, they're so indistinguishable, whereas the Robert Pattinson one, they should be different. This live-action comic book version should feel the same, because it's silly. And that's part of the charm of it. He's just one of those really cool, hip Batmans, especially from the 60s. He's like that swinging Batman. And if you've ever heard any of the behind the stories about the TV series or the movie, I mean, Adam West was the man. That dude was crazy. And you have to remember it was the 60s. So for my money, even though the costume looks silly by today's standards, it's just so classic. And because of that, I just love Adam West's Bruce Wayne and Batman, and that's why he's my number 3. My second favorite Batman is Ben Affleck. And honestly, and I'm going to cheat here, but my number 1 is Kevin Conroy. But if we're just going off of strictly live action stuff, Ben Affleck is the best Batman. He's the most driven. He's the most, scary. He's a monster. And he's definitely somebody that if you were a criminal and you were deciding you were going to hold up a liquor store, you for sure as hell don't want this Batman coming to stop you, because he's definitely going to break some bones and you're going to be in the hospital for a while before you go to jail. And that is Batman to me. When I'm reading a comic book, when I'm reading graphic novels, when I see and think about Batman and what he's supposed to do, he's supposed to strike fear in criminals. That is Ben Affleck to a T. I know there are a lot of haters out there, but Ben Affleck was an amazing Bruce Wayne. He's the best Bruce Wayne that didn't have his own Batman movie. And just the little glimpses that you get of this Bruce Wayne, of this 20-year veteran of fighting crime, and he's beaten down, and he's lost a partner, he's lost his love, and he's lost the Wayne Manor. All these things that he's lost, and he's angry, and he's pissed off. This is the first Batman that isn't just starting out. This is a veteran Batman that's been there, has done that, he's fought several villains and several wars and whatever. I mean, this dude has been through it, and you can see the weariness in Ben Affleck's face. And it's just an amazing portrayal. And then when he has to turn on the charm to meet Lex Luthor, to meet Diana Prince, to meet Clark Kent, to meet all these people and still be human enough around them, but then when he's back in the Batcave, to retreat back to his more angry Bruce Wayne. And then, of course, when he puts the cowl and cape on and he goes out and starts fighting people, I mean, it's just amazing. You could see the anger under the cowl. So when you combine the acting abilities, the suit, everything else, that is your best live-action Batman that you could ever hope for. And I'm so sad that he never got a chance to do a solo Batman movie. It's just an amazing portrayal of Bruce Wayne, and Ben Affleck doesn't get enough flowers. People say flowers a lot. Ben Affleck doesn't get enough credit for his portrayal of Bruce Wayne, and I think it's amazing. It's top-notch, and that's why he's at number 2. Which leaves me with my number 1 Batman. It's Kevin Conroy from Mask of the Phantasm. And it, like I said, it's kind of a cheat, but it's an animated version of it. The voice acting that he does, this is perfect. He actually changes his pitch from his Bruce Wayne to his Batman persona. And then in this movie, he actually plays a younger Bruce Wayne, so he has to change his voice even more to sound younger in the flashbacks. The Batman, the way he looks, the way he's drawn, the way he fights, the way he investigates things, the emotions that go behind the mask. Even though it's animated, you can still imagine what's going on behind the cowl when he's talking with people, especially when he's talking to his old love, Andrea. It's just a masterwork of voice acting coming off the animated series and how he plays different versions of Bruce Wayne and Batman. And he's angry, he's sad, he's a father figure, whatever. All of those things all wrapped up into one character. It's just amazing how he does it. So sad that he's gone, because I'll never hear a new Kevin Conroy movie or animated series with him as Batman. He was the best, and whenever I think of Bruce Wayne's voice, I immediately think of Kevin Conroy. It's such a good portrayal of Batman, such a classic portrayal of Batman with a classic suit and classic gadgets. You can tell that he's just one man trying to make things better in Gotham City, and it's just such a pure interpretation of the character, and that's why he's my number 1 favorite Batman. I'm hitting a wall. So here we are at the final ranking list. I'm finally going to rank the Batman movies from my least favorite to my best favorite. But as you can tell, if you've been following along, there's a little bit of a trend here. So it might not be a surprise what's at the bottom and what's at number 1. But let's see where they land, okay? So starting off with number 12 is going to be Batman and Robin. I can't tell you how much I don't like this movie. I know why it was made. It was made to sell toys to kids, and I totally get that. But when you go from Batman 89 to Batman and Robin, it's completely night and day. And it's unfortunate because what Tim Burton started was amazing, and then the way it just completely just falls off a cliff. It's spectacular at how much it just ruined the franchise, and it ruined the franchise so much that they had to reboot it almost 10 years later. And that just goes to show how bad Batman and Robin is. But if you look at it as to what they were trying to do, they accomplished that. They wanted a basic toy commercial, a 2-hour toy commercial, and that's what it was. None of the story makes sense. None of the people make sense. All the relationships feel very superficial. And the only thing good about it were the costumes. I think the costumes were really good. Some of the special effects were good. But overall, it's just a crappy movie. It's not good. And even if they were trying to be more like the 60s show, the 60s show was better than this. So that's why Batman and Robin is my least favorite Batman movie. Coming in at number 11 is The Dark Knight Rises. I might get heat for this, but you know what? If you watch my review, I've given you all the reasons why I think that's a crappy movie. Bruce Wayne makes so many dumbass mistakes. It's just poorly written. It's poorly acted. There are so many plot holes in the movie. The best things about the movie are the music, some of the fight sequences. I really like the inclusion of Batman's flying vehicle. I think Anne Hathaway looks pretty good, and really that's kind of it. The story, it's a continuation of Batman Begins, but they just continue it in such the wrong way. And the way they bring in Talia and her, I don't know, her face turn at the end where she stabs Batman, it's just, it's so eye-rolling. Her death scene is ridiculous. It's so laughable. I mean, he doesn't even have like a final battle with Bane. He just gets shot by Selina Kyle with the Batquad missiles, and that he's just done. The Robin character at the end. There's so many dumb things about Dark Knight Rises that the last time I was watching it for this review, it just made me really dislike the movie. I didn't love it the first time I saw it. And then I started liking it less. And then this last time I watched it, I just realized that, you know what? I really don't care for this movie. And that's why it's at number 11. Coming in at number 10 is Batman Forever. This was the first time that Joel Schumacher took over. They were trying to course correct from Tim Burton's Batman Returns. They said that it wasn't kid-friendly enough, so Joel Schumacher was given the mission of make it kid-friendly. And you can definitely tell the tonal shift between the two movies. There's a lot more neon happening here. The Gotham City went away from Gothic to now it looks all really computer generated. Villains are terrible. You know, you have your Riddler and Two-Face running around just, I don't know, just laughing and hugging each other and just acting silly, and they're not a menacing threat at all. The only saving grace for this movie is, number 1, I like the Batsuit. Number 2, the addition of Robin. I really had been looking forward to that, and I didn't mind Chris O'Donnell's Robin or the storyline. I like Chase Meridian. I think Nicole Kidman looked good and did well in the part. Really, that's kind of it. I mean, the rest of the movie is kind of hard to get through. The music is awful. There are way more negatives than positives in this movie, and that's why it's near the bottom, and that's why it's my number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Batman 66. As much nostalgia as I have for this movie, as much love as I have for Adam West and Burt Ward, of the old vehicles, the Batmobile, the helicopter, and the Batbike, and all of the villains, I think they're amazing in it. The thing about this movie is I've grown past it. I think that the plot is really silly, which is fine because it was perfect for its time. But watching it now, it's a little bit of a slog to get through. The big comedic parts of it, which is Batman trying to get rid of the bomb and the shark attacking him and he's using the shark repellent. And at the end where I forget who, but somebody sneezes and all the dehydrated people get kind of mixed into each other. And I mean, all those silly parts of it, they've been kind of memed to death, and I love those parts. When they come up, it brings a smile to my face. But everything in between is just a bit of a slog to get through now. As much as I enjoy the show, as much as I enjoyed the movie, as much as I enjoy those characters, for me at 51 now, I enjoyed it a lot less on this review. Not to say it's bad, but just I don't know, I think I've finally grown up. Well, at least a little bit. And speaking of growing up, coming in at number 8 is Lego Batman. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I thought it was so funny when I first saw it at the movie theater. I really hadn't seen it again until I did these reviews, and I really enjoyed it. I think the voice acting is spot on. I think the comedy in it's really good. How they raise the stakes with other Warner Brothers villains coming in from other movies are attacking Gotham City. I think that's awesome. I don't know. I just really love this movie because I think it's a love letter to all of the Batman movies and lore that came before it. I mean, how can you hate that? So that's why my Lego movie, it's not very high on the list, but it's very enjoyable. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that there are other better movies that take Batman a little bit more seriously, and I like that a little bit more. Coming in at number 7 is Batman 89. It's hard to describe, but if you weren't there in 1989 when this movie was being hyped up, the summer of Batman and everything else, I think it came out June 23rd, because everyone was excited. It was Batmania version 2, because Batmania had happened in 66, but it was like Batmania all over again. Everybody was wearing t-shirts, and this was before wearing a Batman t-shirt was kind of like the norm, like it is now. But back then, you would never see Batman t-shirts, but this summer in particular, everyone had a Batman t-shirt. It was all over the place, and the excitement level to watch this movie was through the roof. And I couldn't wait to see it. I saw it in the movie theaters maybe 3 times. I really liked it, but I had my issues with it. I wasn't sure about the black rubber costume. I was used to reading comic books with the blue and gray, and then of course 66. So it took me a while to get used to the costume. I still wasn't crazy about Mr. Mom being Batman. I loved Jack Nicholson as a Joker. I did not believe or care for the Vicky Vale relationship. I didn't like the inclusion of Alexander Knox. I think Vicky Vale should have been the only person, but whatever. Some of Joker's jokes I didn't get while I was a kid. I still don't get as an adult, so which means to me that they weren't good to begin with. But the Danny Elfman soundtrack, the Batwing, the Batmobile, all those things, I mean, it was an amazing event movie. Since then, better Batman movies have come out. My biggest gripe with that movie is making the Joker the killer of Batman's parents. I really don't like that. And for some reason, some of these movies just have to put their stamp on things. And that was one of them. So that kind of brings it down a couple notches. But overall, I enjoyed Batman. If it's on, I'll watch it. But it's not one of those movies that I reach out and want to replay again. But I do still like the movie. And that's why it's at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is The Dark Knight. I know I'm going to get flamed for this or whatever, but The Dark Knight, I remember seeing it at the movies, and I thought not only was this a great Batman movie, but it was also a great crime movie. It felt like Goodfellas with Batman in it. To a certain degree, I still feel that way, but if you take out the Joker, if you put in a different actor, this movie falls apart completely. And that's sad, because the stuff that has Bruce Wayne in it and how he's so lovesick over Rachel is just really kind of depressing to watch, because that's not my Bruce Wayne / Batman, but there he is on screen doing that. I love the subplot with Harvey Dent, but then he gets dispatched at the end so quickly. It's like, well, okay, well, that's over with. And then with the untimely death of Heath Ledger, you'll never see what happens with Joker after this movie. So when you watch the movie by itself in the movie theater, it's an amazing sequel. And also with the stupid Batman voice, that's where that starts. I don't know, it's much more flawed than I realized it was the first time I watched it. But then knowing that a third movie was coming, I was hoping that they would build upon this movie into the third movie. But instead, they take a hard right because of the death of Two-Face and the real-life death of Heath Ledger. So the next movie kind of goes off on its own tangent instead of building on this movie. As a standalone movie, I think it's pretty good. I think it's really up there. But the middle part of a trilogy, I like it less. And this last time I watched it, I saw a lot more flaws in it because I was looking at it more critically. There were more flaws in it than I care to see. That's why it dropped from one of my favorite Batman movies to kind of like in the middle ground. That's unfortunate. It had a lot of things going for it. I love the Batquad. I love all the practical effects. I love Christopher Nolan's cinematography. But I think his idea of getting anchored into realism kind of spoiled this movie a little bit. Instead of leaning a little bit more into the fantastical, it got a little too real, and I think by the time it gets to the third movie, They started leaning into the fantastical, but by that point it was just, I don't know, it was competing between realism and fantasy, and I just don't think it hit well. So Dark Knight, great movie. I like it. I love Heath Ledger. I think he's the best Joker out there. I just think that it's not as good as you remember it. So watch that movie again if you disagree with me, and look at it a little bit more critically and tell me what you think. Coming in at number 5 is Batman Returns. So Batman Returns, it has Catwoman in it, my favorite Catwoman, my favorite Penguin, my favorite Michael Keaton outfit, still has my favorite Batmobile in it, still has my favorite Danny Elfman score. So there's a lot of things going great with Batman Returns. The only thing I don't like is the inclusion of Christopher Walken as Max Schreck. I think he detracts from the movie too much. I think the movie could have done just fine with just Penguin and Catwoman as your antagonist. I think the relationship between Batman and Catwoman are spot on. The special effects are still really good. I just think it's a fun movie. The first movie, Batman '89, was Tim Burton working within the studio, and then this movie was Tim Burton off the rails. The studio kind of let him have carte blanche to whatever he wanted to do, and you can tell. Gotham City looks different, everything's different about it. He put it in the snow. I mean, imagine that, releasing a summer movie with the snow motif during Christmas time. This movie should have been released at Christmas, but regardless, it's really good. The acting's good still. The plot's a little nonsensical, but I mean, it at the same time, it's very comic booky. I really enjoy this movie. When it comes down to the original, I guess, Batman anthology, the first 4 movies, this is the most rewatchable for me. I'll watch this one first, then '89, then Forever, and then probably never watch Batman and Robin again. But I might, who knows. Of those movies, Batman Returns is my favorite. Coming in at number 4 is 2022's The Batman. I think Matt Reeves did a really good job with this movie. I think his casting was really well done. The soundtrack is really well done. I think the story is still very well written. I do like the new interpretations of Riddler and Penguin and Catwoman and Batman and Commissioner Gordon. Everybody in that movie is really well cast and does their part really well. This is the movie that feels the most like a live action graphic novel or comic book come to life. I really like the narration that Batman does because it's similar to reading captions when you're reading a comic book. You get into the inside of what Batman's thinking. I love the detective aspect of it. The fighting was choreographed very well. There are a few plot holes in this movie that I struggle to get over. I don't know, this is one of those movies where everything else kind of overpowers the plot holes, so I'm more likely to excuse it. And maybe at some point, 5-10 years from now, maybe I'll look at this movie and it'll bug me like Dark Knight bugs me. But for now, this is the newest Batman movie, the newest Batman characters. So far, they've done really well. It's a great start to a new series of movies. And as of recording, The Batman Part 2, it starts filming in a month or so. And I'm really excited and looking forward to that. It's also the movie I've seen the least next to the Lego Batman movie. I think I've only watched this movie 3 or 4 times. It's a long movie, but when it ends, it's like I don't want it to end. I don't know, I just feel so involved in that world. I didn't want it to end. I wish that it was more like a series instead of a movie that we're going to have to wait. As of right now, it's been almost 5 years since the last movie, and I don't want to wait that long. And even though they had the Penguin series, it was not Batman related at all. It had everything to do with the Penguin and the crime bosses. That was a nice little appetizer to keep us hungry in between, but I'm ready for another new The Batman movie. And so far right now, The Batman ranks my number 4 with the potential of going higher up my list as the years go by, or maybe lower. Coming in at number 3, it's a little bit of a cheat, but Batman v Superman, the movie's crap. I understand it. I know that when we talk about plot holes and all this other stuff, this movie is full of them. But this is 100% the best Batman depiction on film in live action. Ben Affleck as Batman is amazing. The costume, the fighting, even though I know it's a stunt double, but the fighting, the choreography, everything that goes with it, it's amazing. And I know people talked a lot of crap about the fact that he murdered people. But if you watch all these movies, and I told you before with the murder count, Batman has murdered at least 40 people in all the movies prior. So I don't know why it's such a big deal in this movie. I know Batman should not kill. And Batman from The Batman, Robert Pattinson's, he definitely is not a killer. But in this movie, in this world, in this universe, you can almost understand why Batman's gotten to that point where killing somebody is not a big deal to him anymore. If you watch the Justice League movies and everything else that follows this movie, he actually gets his humanity back. And it's actually a pretty good story arc. But for this movie, if you take out the Lex Luthor stuff and Superman and the side story with Lois Lane looking for a bullet and the horrible design of Doomsday at the end, but really just the Batman parts, the distilled Batman parts of this movie, it's amazing. And I know, I'm going to get a lot of heat for that, but you can't convince me otherwise. It's the best Batman movie on film. Coming in at number 2 is Batman Begins. I love Christian Bale in the first movie. I loved how, up to this point, we don't know anything about how Batman becomes Batman. And this movie tries to answer that in a realistic way. I love the depiction of Gotham City and the little part of the Narrows, which made it a little bit more fantastical, which they lost in the sequels. Batman Begins felt a lot more like a globe-trotting adventure. Bruce Wayne was in different places and training from different people. The cinematography is beautiful. I love the music, even though it's not Danny Elfman, but it's leaps and bounds better than Elliot Goldenthal. But it was a new theme that I truly enjoyed and I could get into. I liked his chemistry with Rachel Dawes, even though she was an original character, but I felt like she fit right in. James Gordon was perfectly played by Gary Oldman. Alfred by Michael Caine was pretty spot on too. I liked their relationship, which changed as the movies went on. Overall, I think Batman Begins is a great start to a trilogy or a series of movies. I'm glad that they upgraded the bat suit because I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I mean, it still looked great when he's flying around, and I love that they included Scarecrow, which was and Ra's al Ghul, which were villains that they hadn't done over and over again before. And some of the chase scenes with the tumbler, I mean, it was pretty exciting. There was a lot of good stuff to like about Batman Begins. I thought it was a great movie. It still is, and it's definitely the most watchable out of the Dark Knight trilogy. And for now, I've got this up there as number 2. I know that's pretty high up there. It's a high praise for, especially coming from me, from hating so much on the Dark Knight trilogy. But I really do like Batman Begins. And it's really in close competition with The Batman, because if the sequels to The Batman are just as good or better than the first movie, that's definitely going to elevate The Batman. So these two might wind up switching places. And I mean, BVS, the only reason why it's where it is just because it's the best Batman on film. So that's not going anywhere. But for now, Batman Begins is still my number 2 favorite Batman movie of all time. So my number 1 Batman movie of all time is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I can't praise this movie enough. It is so good. It's kind of a cheat that it's an animated movie, because Batman Begins is the best probably live action movie. This is the best. It's a pinnacle of Batman animated movies. The story arc that Bruce Wayne goes through, finding love, losing love again after thinking that he found it again. I mean, there's so many themes and issues that are going on in this movie. How Joker comes in and how he's easily integrated into the plot, even though he's not there from the beginning. But once he comes in, it's like he's just a menace, just like he would be in The Dark Knight, where as soon as he's introduced, it's like it just makes everything better. The designs of the character of the Phantasm, it's so cool. He looks like death, and the power set that he has with the smoke and the little sickle that he has on one hand. The big reveal that it's not Andrea's father, but it's actually Andrea herself, trying to get revenge for the death of her father. The meet cute that we have between Andrea and Bruce at the cemetery, and their little love story that goes on. And then the thing that this movie does that The Dark Knight fails to do, and The Dark Knight Rises fails to do, is that even though Bruce has lost the love of his life, potentially the love of his life, he still soldiers on, because in his core he knows that he still made a vow to his parents to save the citizens of Gotham from any kind of pain that he may have had as a child, due to criminal activity or whatever. That is his vow. That's his core. That's his being, which kind of gets lost in the live action movies. But in this movie, it distills it right back to when the movie starts. He's a crime fighter. Some things kind of happen. It kind of derails him a little bit. It kind of makes him relive and rethink about his past and what could have been. But ultimately, at the end of the movie, he's still that core being of Batman, and he sees the bat signal light up, and he shoots off his grapple gun and he swings off into whatever the night's going to bring to him. And that's the essence of Batman. Even though things have totally gone wrong for him, he's still going to push forward. And that's what makes this movie heads and tails better than any of the live action adaptations so far, because they know how to do it right. Now, is that because it's an animated movie, and if you had live action people doing things that were written for an animated movie, it wouldn't translate well? Maybe. I wouldn't know, because they're not even going for that. So without seeing that actually happen in real time in a real movie, without that, there's nothing to compare it to. So for my money, the one movie, Batman movie, that I'd like to rewatch over and over again, and I've seen it multiple times in the movie theater, I got it on DVD, I've got it on Blu-ray, I got it on 4K, is definitely Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Is my number one Batman movie of all time. All right, everybody, that was my ranking list of all the Batman movies. I think I covered quite a bit, probably more than I really wanted to, but I think I finally answered the question that you people may have had for me throughout the years of who's my favorite Batman, what's my favorite Batman movie. But that's it. I am done with my Batman series. Okay, I'm sorry. One last thing. Like I said, this was a 4-hour recording session. I didn't mean for it to go that long. And by the time I got to the end, I wanted to just wrap it up really quick. But now that I'm done with the editing and I'm at the end of the video, I forgot to mention one thing. What do I want with the future of this franchise? At the time of recording, James Gunn, he's talked about Batman Brave and the Bold, and there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about it since it's been announced, but they've moved on to Superman, Lex Luthor, Man of Tomorrow, whatever the movie's going to be called at the end, and they're moving on with Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2, who they've already said is not part of the DCU. My idea for the DCU, James Gunn, I hope you're listening, but I think it should be a Game of Thrones style TV show. Let it go for 8 to 10 years. Let's hire some real solid actors. They don't have to be named actors, but let's hire some people that want to stay locked in. Let's start with the animated series mold, where Batman's been around for, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so. Already has a slightly older Robin, maybe about 16 or 17. He's been around for a couple years. That way you can have a Dick Grayson, a Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and if the show goes on long enough and it's popular enough, maybe even a Damian Wayne. And after 10 years, if people are still loving this, reboot the series, start with the Batman Beyond TV series or Batman Beyond movie that'll spin off out of here. I mean, think about it. If Game of Thrones was so popular, and there have been plenty of series of Stranger Things, shows can become a phenomenon in and of themselves without having blockbuster movies. And if it's good enough, people will follow it. Have Batman co-star in any kind of movies that might come out, like a Superman movie or Justice League or whatever. I'm not much of a comic book reader anymore. I don't know, I guess I kind of grew out of it a little bit. But I do read Mark Waid's Batman, Superman, World's Finest. And that's pretty good because it kind of takes place in Batman and Superman where they're, I don't know, about 5 years into their career. And Robin's slightly older. And they're having adventures around the DCU. It's a really good comic book. If you integrate that comic book with the Batman animated series style, and if you want to tell flashbacks, tell flashbacks. How did he meet Robin? How did he become friends with Commissioner Gordon? They can be told in flashback stories or be told in spin-offs. Have spin-offs if things get really popular. Have a Batgirl spin-off, a Robin spin-off, Teen Titans spin-off, whatever you want to do. That's what I think. We're always trying to get the big blockbuster, the big Batman. It has to make $1 billion now. I say don't do it. I say stick with something a little bit smaller. You can still have a very good budget. Get some great actors in there. If the show is good, there's going to be great anticipation for it every year. Think about all these hit shows that have gone on through the years. Make it to where people notice it, people talk about it, that it wins awards. And I think Batman is the kind of character and the kind of series with the years of comic book stories that you can adapt into a series. I think it would be amazing. That is what I would pitch if I were a James Gunn employee. And hopefully you're listening. I just had to get that off my chest. So on with the video, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to move on to Season B, which is another 4 movies that has nothing to do with Batman, I promise you. And those reviews will be coming out really soon. Thank you for hanging out with me. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. And remember, my name is Trini. I am the Batquad, and I am End of Watch.